So go ahead and sit back on your heels. Bring those arms forward, relax your forehead and forearms to your mat. You're welcome to rock those hips side to side. Relaxing in the center when you're ready. Taking your mind and focusing on your body. Releasing any thoughts outside of this room, outside of this space. Keeping your forehead relaxed on your mat. Let's go ahead and link those fingers together behind us. Opening your chest. If your shoulders allow, go ahead and allow those hands to fall towards your head. Bringing your fingers towards your bottom before unlinking. Reaching those arms far out in front of you. Keeping your forehead on your mat. We're going to lift those hands off the floor and release. Just lifting an inch or two off the floor and releasing. This time, if you want to make it a little more challenging, you can pull down, bringing those elbows towards your body. Extend and release. If that's too challenging, go ahead and stick with just raising your hands off the floor. Going at your own pace here. Let's do one more. Keeping those hands out in front of you, let's go ahead and shift our weight into that tabletops position, adjusting those knees if needed, in line with your hip. Back stays in one straight line as we pull those shoulders down and away from your ears, that packed shoulder position. We're just gonna bring our gaze up and forward and tuck into your chest. We're just nodding our head here. Everything else stays still. Bringing movement into that neck. On your next inhale, as you raise your chin, feel free to allow those hips to tilt. And exhale, rounding through the spines, pushing away from the floor into our cat-cow. As you exhale or complete your last exhale, let's go ahead and bring it back to neutral. We're gonna make C's with our hips. So we're gonna kind of do a side crunch, making a C over to the other side. And I loosen those hips a little bit. Bringing it to center, sitting back on those heels for child's pose. This time, I want you to rock those hips side to side. I'm going to open up into more of a frog, bringing those knees out to the outside of my mat, rocking side to side. Inhale, big shift forward. We're going to release down to our mat. I'm going to bring my knees back to center. Elbows stay close to your body. Remember that spine stays in one straight line. Let's go ahead and release our forearms to our mat. Inhale as you lift and raise, shoulders pull back, that pack shoulder position. Exhale, release, feet stay on the floor for this one. Inhale, big lift. Exhale, release. We're using those lower back muscles to help raise, so we're not using our hands or forearms here. Let's go ahead and do one more. This time, go ahead and allow yourself to press yourself or hold yourself up with either your forearms or your hands for your cobra. Remember, push down into the floor. You can kind of feel the wrong position and press down to feel the correct position. Let's go ahead and wave those hips up and back into child's pose. Awesome job, everyone. We're going to do that a little bit faster this time. Inhale, big shift forward. Exhale, release down to your mat. Inhale, press into cobra. Exhale, hips push back into child's pose. Stuttering on my words there. This time, if you want to make it a little bit harder, shift your weight forward, lift off your knees onto your toes. Exhale, release down to the floor, release here. Press up into the cobra of your choice. Exhale, wave your hips back. Child's pose. I have one more challenge for you, shifting your weight forward on your toes, optional. Exhale, release. This time, if you want to press yourself up into your upward dog, so without releasing those thighs at the bottom. Waving those hips up and back into child's pose. Awesome job. Go ahead and shake it out here. Find your breath, kind of regroup a little bit. When you're ready, let's shift forward into tabletops. Inhale, exhale, tuck those toes under, raise those hips up and back into your downward dog. We're going to start by pedaling out through our feet. Shifting your weight from one side to the other. I want you to try not to favor one side with your hands or your shoulders. Try to keep it equal. Bringing those hips back. Weight onto both feet equally here. Inhale, bring your eyes towards your hands. Exhale, step forward into your forward fold. Knees tuck into our chest as we roll into standing slowly. Big inhale, arms overhead. Exhale your arms to your sides. As you do that, I want you to adjust your feet placement so that they're in line with your hips. Toes are facing forward. Swoop those arms up to your ears. Glue them to your ears as you push your hips back. You want to make sure those knees are not caving in. You want to make sure there's no curve in that lumbar spine. Keep the core tight. Again, let's try not to favor one side here. Pressing through both feet as we lift into standing. Exhale, swan dive forward fold. Push those hips back, lengthen through the spine. With your hands flat on the floor, you can bend your knees if you need to in order to do so. We're gonna hop or step back into our plank position. Exhale as you release down to the floor. Remember, you're always welcome to modify onto those knees. With or without releasing at the bottom, inhale, lift into the cobra of your choice. And wave those hips back, sit back into child's pose. I want you to be able to challenge yourself, but I also don't want you to compromise your form. So finding that right modification or right level that fits you. Inhale, raise those hips up. Tucking your toes under, raising those hips up and hips back into that downward dog. This time we're gonna raise our right leg, three-legged dog. Hips stay square to the floor. I don't wanna kick your TV. Let's allow those hips to open as we bring that right toe over to the left wall. Again, your weight should be distributed equally on both arms. I know it's tempting to want to lean over to that left side. Try to give equal weight. Squaring those hips back to the floor, extending that leg. Let's swing that leg up through to our hands, runner's lunge. Take a peek at that back foot. Make sure your heel is not rotated in. When you're ready, let's swoop those arms up to our ear. High lunge. Remember to roll those hips under. If you want to take this a step further, you can bring your gaze up to follow your fingertips, maybe even slightly behind you. Slowly lift back up to center if you are not already, lowering your hands to prayer. We're going to bring our left elbow over towards our right knee, looking over that right shoulder. Let's put all of our weight onto that right side, keeping that elbow to your knee as you step into that twisted chair, keeping our hips down. Rotate back to center. Slow lift into standing. Awesome job, everyone. Exhale, pushing those hips back. Swan dive, forward fold. Fold. Hands are placed on the floor, bending your knees if you need to, so that you can hop or step back into plank. Modifying to your knees if needed. Exhale, release here to the bottom. Inhale, press up into the cobra of your choice or upward dog. So without releasing those thighs. Waving your hips up and sitting back onto those heels for child's pose. Use this time to regroup before we go into that sequence on the other side. Deep breaths. Controlling your breath, not letting it control you. Inhale, big shift forward, tabletops. Remember that packed shoulder position, so shoulders are down and away from your ears. Tucking those toes under so that you can lift those knees up, hips back into that downward dog. Keep those shoulders down and away from your ears. And raise that left leg, three-legged dog. Tops of our feet are facing down to the floor, so they're not opening out to the side. And allowing those hips to open as you point that toe to the right wall. Stack your hips. Squaring those hips back to center. Three-legged dog. Swinging your leg up through to your hands, runner's lunge. Finding that position with your feet. And raising those arms up to your ears. Tucking your hips under. You can take this a little bit further by bringing your gaze up to your fingertips, maybe even slightly behind you. Slow lift back up, lowering your hands to prayer. Crossing that right elbow over your left knee. Weight is focused on that left leg as you step forward into chair, keeping those hips down. Rotate back to center and lift it back up. Exhale, push those hips behind you, lengthen to the spine. Swan dive, forward fold. Remember to keep your gaze behind you. Try not to put strain on your neck by looking down at the floor. All right, for the last time, we're gonna hop or step back into plank position. Exhale, release down to the floor with or without releasing. Inhale, raise into the cobra of your choice. And wave those hips up and back into child's pose. Go ahead and use this time to recenter, regroup. Let's bring those hands below your shoulders. Using them to press yourself up, we're gonna lift onto our knees. Adjusting those knees so that they're in line with your hips. Taking your hands, placing them on your lower back, fingertips facing down. You can kind of play with your hips a little bit. You can see when they're loose. I want you to tuck them under. Pull your shoulders back and raise your chin. Starting here. You're welcome to stay here, or you can take those hips forward just a little bit, bringing that gaze behind you. Maybe some of you are able to reach for those ankles one at a time. If not, go ahead and keep where you're at. Hands are placed on your lower back if they are not already for support. As you use them for support, raising yourself back up. Sit back on your heels. Child's pose, rock side to side. Walk those hands side to side. We're gonna have one more chance to try that again. Once your hands are back to center, let's go ahead and bring them to your shoulders, using them to press yourself up. Take your time here. Again, hands are placed on your lower back, fingertips are facing down. Remember, you can play with those hips, you can feel when they're loose. I want them nice and tight. I don't want you to release from this position. Open your chest. Bring that gaze up. Maybe slightly push those hips forward. Hands are there for support on your lower back. If you can reach for those ankles, go ahead and reach for those ankles. Using your hands for support as you raise it back up. Sit back on those heels one more time and rock side to side, or walk your hands side to side. Awesome job, everyone. When you are done, let's go ahead and bring those hands below your shoulders. Use them to press yourself up as you swing onto your bottoms, feet out in front of you. We're going to do a little bit of core work before we leave today. So we're going to place those hands by our sides. You can bend through the elbows and just raise those feet off the floor. Notice how I'm not slouching, bringing my shoulders forward, sitting tall. This is your first challenge. I want you to avoid holding your breath. Go ahead and release. All right, your next challenge is going to hold that position, but without your hands. So you're going to lean back, feet off the floor, hands out in front of you. If you're kind of in that in-between stage, you can start with one foot and eventually raise both off the floor. Deep breaths. Shoulders back, sit tall, release, you can rock it out, sit up. So you have level 1, level 2, have that 1.5 with 1 foot. Your level 3, we're gonna sit back with your hands, feet off the floor. Level 2, hands out in front of you. Level 3, extend those legs. Bonus if you can pulse. Go ahead and release. Great job. I'm going to have you roll it out a few times in your tight ball. On your last roll, go ahead and stay there and just bring your feet flat to the floor. Crossing one side, I'll let you pick which side you start with. One side crossing over for your figure 4. Staying here or hugging from under your thigh or your shin. Feeling that stretch through the glutes. Head and back stay on the floor. I haven't done this one in a while. Gently releasing that foot to the floor, uncrossing your legs, shake it out. Let's do the other side. Same thing, starting with that cross. You can stay here or hug from either your thigh or your shin. Gently releasing that foot, uncrossing your legs, shake it out. Let's go ahead and bring your feet together. Insides of your feet come together as you open the insides of your thighs. You can stay here or you can slide those feet out if you need to give your lower back a little more support. You can also take a pillow or a blanket, place it below your lower back. As hard as it may seem, I want you to let gravity do its job. Open those hips. Bringing those feet flat to the floor one at a time, bringing those knees up into your chest, into your tight ball, and just rolling your lower back out on your mat. Drawing small circles, going in each direction. Placing those feet back on the floor. So you have two options here. You can keep those feet on the floor, knees come together for your daydreamers, or you can bring those feet out in front of you, hands to the side for corpse. With your eyes relaxed, keeping your deep breaths, I want you to pull those shoulders down and away from your ears. Completing each inhale before exhaling. And on your next inhale, I want you to squeeze your fists. I want you to let that tension migrate up through your forearms, your biceps and your triceps, squeezing your chest and your abdominals, through your glutes, your thighs, all the way down to your toes. You can even squint your face if you want to. Deep inhale, squeeze everything into the center of your body. Hold here for 3 heartbeats. Squeezing as tight as you can. On that 3rd heartbeat, go ahead and exhale, release that tension. And continue those deep breaths, relaxing that tension with each exhale. keeping your eyes relaxed. Let's start to bring movement back into your body, starting with your chest. Feeling it expand as you inhale. Relax as you exhale. Just exaggerate that movement. Starting to bring movement through those fingers and toes. Eventually sliding those feet flat to the floor one at a time. As you inhale, let's bring those arms overhead. Snow angel, lengthen through the spine. Rolling over to one side, using that bottom arm as your pillow. Lifting those hips and shoulders off the floor. Take as much time as you need to open your eyes. And slowly press yourself into your comfortable seated position. Finishing with our deep breaths. Inhale, arms go overhead. Exhale your arms to your sides. 2 more deep breaths. Inhale, arms go overhead. And exhale. 1 more time. Hands connect to prayer. Exhale, hands to heart. Namaste. Have a great rest of your day, everyone, and I will see you all on Wednesday. If you have any questions about TechManTri or any of our programs, feel free to let me know. Hopefully you are all staying safe. It's good to see you all in class, and I'll see you on Wednesday.